There you go, guys. This is Life Maniac. Now I'm gonna put in today or loading up my Gardner character deck profile of the virtual world. This little lady out of here. Now, why didn't I upload Tristan Taylor nowadays? Since I'm still waiting for his cards to finally arrive. It still didn't arrive. I don't know what the problem is with the delivery service out of here, but yeah, I have to be patient, and of course I'm not just speaking now in relation to these specific cards, because I still have to pay them, but I'm speaking in general because I ordered other cards as well, and they were not haven't been arriving until now. I mean, all of them did not arrive. So now, what can I say about this character in particular? This little lady is, of course, one of the companions, and belongs to the heart stock of the companions, to the inner core, you might say, because from the right start she was a friend with Yugi, Muto, Tristan Taylor, and Joey Wheeler, which you might say is the core of the people who were building this friendship up as a team, and then later on guys like Mai, Valentine, Serenity Wheeler, the sister of Joey, and Duke Devlin, and others were coming by and sticking to this team or group of people. As a result of that, she, you can say, practically indeed had been playing many duels with Yugi right up from the start, even right before the Duelist Kingdom. It weren't that many, but she still did, and she also possessed cards in that Duelist Kingdom saga as well, so you have to combine those with the very ones that you are fully aware of and taking place in this era of the virtual world. Now, she had also to fight, of course, in a duel against, I think, finance segment director of the Kaiba Corporation, which was Crump, I think. His boss monster, or the deck master at the same time, was the Nightmare Penguin, and he was in love with penguins and all those things, and Tia was trapped from him, as a matter of fact, by his penguin family, you might say, even, or companions at least, virtual world type companions. And then she had to fight him in a duel, but she did realize that it had been some time that he dueled, so you can still add her to the list of beginners, of course, though she played, as I already said, from the very start, even right before the Duelist Kingdom saga. As a result of that, she wasn't that much of a beginner in comparison to people like Serenity Wheeler, of course. And in conclusion, it is quite clear that she had a couple of skills. Now, to make, how I always say, a long story short, we're going to begin. I hope you guys like the sleeves, because I think they are also very logical in that way, that her boss monster and deck master at the same time was the Dark Magician. Now, on to her monster cards. Still, one correction I want to make one redemption, you might say, about the last deck of Serenity Wheeler. Of course, Serenity Wheeler also possessed the Shadow Tamer, but I had this card, I think, in the Grimo deck profile, which we are coming up as the other Orichalcos era will be dropped by me. So it wasn't free, and I do not have any others of those cards. And of course, I also forgot about it. First, I thought about it and realized that it wasn't there, and I just forgot it again. So I'm sorry for that. And now I can presumably say that in this deck also two cards are. This deck is lacking of two cards, namely Breath of Light, because it's very expensive. I think 50, 60 or 70 euros, and also Elf's Light, which I do not possess until now. So, not of course until her monsters, as I already mentioned. Her boss monster and deck master at the same time was the Dark Magician Girl. Now, the Dark Magician Girl was very helpful for her, as she also spoke to her and motivated her to endure that in that fight, and she has to be brave too. So it was very helpful, and also on that issue that she told her which her skill or effect as a deck master was. Then I put in there a card which do quite good work with that engine, which was the Dark Magician Girl, the Dark Magician, sorry. It is of course one of Yugi's cards, which were like teleported from his deck into her deck, but I think, as you have also the spell card Sage of Stone, which I will be coming up then and talking and analyzing about, you have to add this card into her deck as well. Then I think I'm not sure whether it was listed or it was just shown in the deck list or even in the anime, is Seijaru, which of course Bandit Keith also possessed. But I think it was either it was shown in her hand, or she maybe as she saw the data bank of the cards which were shown, as she had to add the cards to make up a deck, something like that maybe. Then Elf Twins, which of course also I think it was in her deck list. A card which she did not play out in this arc, but she possessed that quite clearly, was Fairy's Gift, a card that she played out in the Duelist Kingdom era against My Valentine. Then, and to go up to the ranks, Dunamis Dark Witch was also, I think, in her deck list. Another card which she indeed played out was Mahavelo, which had a very good useful effect for her in order to increase his attack stats with equip spell cards. And then Fairy Archer, which I think, I might be mistaken, but I think it was shown in her deck list. Yeah. One card which I thought would be appropriate was the Holy Elf. Then a card which she indeed engaged into battle was Firestalker with a good burning effect. Another card which I thought would be appropriate was Sincere, or Honest, I think it is called in English. 2 times the Scalangel, which she even played out in that arc. Magician of Faith, which was in the first Duelist Kingdom segment her favorite monster card, shown into the battle from Yami Yugi against Yami Bakura. Another card which she played out in the Duelist Kingdom but against My Valentine was Dark Witch, I think, or maybe even in this one. I am not sure about that one. I think maybe she played it even out against Crump. One card which she obviously played out against Crump, and I'm certain of, was Ancient Elf. Then a couple of cards which were in her deck list on the one hand, and on the other hand would be appropriate to her deck. Second and third that she even took in her deck, which were clearly played out. One of those is Little Angel, which she played out in the Duelist Kingdom era against My Valentine. Then the card Shining Friendship, also played out in that very duel, as well as Happy Lover, which I think she played or she possessed in her deck and was played out in one of the filler arcs, which is not dealing with dual monsters in a classic way, but I think it's called Capsule Monsters, yeah. So there was this card also, which she had in her Capsule deck. Then further on there was Tenderness, which also was in the deck list, as well as Supporters in the Shadow. Both are OCG exclusive cards, as you see, as well as Fairy's Witch. All cards were in one of the deck lists, and I think this one was even on YouTube or on Google and YouTube, or both. I think on YouTube was certainly. Then Glithering Principalia, which really, yeah, I did add into that deck because it looks very much like Happy Lover or Tenderness, you might say, in a futuristic form. And then Glither and Temperature, a fairy type monster, as she has very many fairy type monsters. And Sandclock of the Bravery, also a fairy type monster. I think this was a card which also was played out from the GX girl. Come on, I just forgot about her name. She was called no. You know what I mean. She possessed Blade Skater and all those Cyber Angel cards. Come on. You know what I mean. I will be adding it then maybe in another video if I recall it right. Yeah, this onto his monster cards. Her monster cards, of course. Then we go further about her spell cards. Spell cards of her, as I already told you guys about, was Sage Stone. If you have a Dark Magician, I think the effect is to, yeah, special summon one Dark Magician girl. You can special summon one Dark Magician. Justice of Dargla, which I think was listed in her deck list. Unite Resent as well. Offerings to the Doom, she played out against Crump. Cards from the Sky, just 3 times, because it's a good mechanics. If you have, I think, a fairy type monster, light and fairy type monster, you can discard it and draw another 2 cards. Then Phalanx Spike, which works with having 1 or 2 monsters or just more monsters of one type, attribute and name, of course. Then you can increase the attack of 1 monster from the side of the field. Then the card which wasn't shown in the decklist was very appropriate, as you can see. The inner core of friendship and team that I was talking about, namely the hands of Yugi Muto, Joey Wheeler, Tristan Taylor, and Tia Gardner are shown in this card which is symbol of friendship, of course. Then further on, also a Lock Iron Axe, which is a good engine in order to increase the attack stats of your monster. And as you have Malhavelo in there, of course you can then double maybe the attack points of him. Then, as I put in there, a staple like Dark Hole, which I think, yeah, might be logical that she knew of, as well as Dispel that were shown in her deck list, I think. No, in her hand in the very game that I was talking about now in the Virtual World arc against Crump, as well as Graceful Charity. I think this card she might have even possessed in the Duelist Kingdom as well. Oh, come on, I like order and discipline. What's up? So, further on, Art of the Summoner, a card which you can, I think, special summon or add one normal monster of a level 5 or higher, which is appropriate for the Dark Magician Girl as well as the Dark Magician, from the deck to the hand. Then Silver Bow, a card which he had clearly in the Duelist Kingdom and played out against Mind Valentine. Mage Power, I'm not sure about that one, but I think it wasn't that thus in the deck list, and of course you can, and in a Magician Fairy type monster based deck, and then a deck which has the monster card Mahavelo, it's very appropriate that it be there. Another staple, of course, Monster Reborn. Magic Formula, which I think she might have been played out in the Duelist Kingdom arc. Another staple like Mystical Space Typhoon, but I think I'm very certain about the fact that she basically played that card out against Crump, and he was trapping her, and because she has destroyed, as he had said, a useless card in order for the purpose of being trapped by another one that has the ability to destroy a spell or trap card. And last but not least, Change of Heart, which, yeah, also might be a conclusion, as she was very heart drawn and I think hard-led person. Now, these were her spell cards, and as I already said and revealed to you guys, Elf's Light and Breath of Light I will be adding in this deck someday, as I have the ability to. I mean, in terms of money, of course, I can afford them, then I will put them in there. You have to take into account that it's at least 50 euros for one card is a little bit much, guys. So yeah, it'd have to be a very wise decision in that term. Now on to her trap cards, which were not that much that I put in there. First, Magic Jammer, as I thought she might block magic cards. Magical Hats, of course, in order to protect her witch type monsters. Magic Cylinder for her magic, especially for her two major boss monsters, Dark Magician Girl, as she maybe would have saw these cards played out by Yugi many times, as well as Mirror Force, which I think she even was she played it set against Crump. And last but not least, Solar Flare. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will, as Tristan Taylor's cards are completed, do this deck first. Although if it's not to be, I will then maybe take it out of the deck instead. I think the companions are finished then with Tristan Taylor, but if the item arrives too late, then I will be maybe try to begin with the antagonists of this arc. Now, long story made short. I hope you guys have a nice evening, and stay tuned. Hit the like and the subscribe button, which will support me very, very well in my attempt to eventually someday reach 1,000. I mean, I'm not like it's very low right now, but I have the attempt to, the ambition also, and yeah. Hope you guys like this hobby of mine and the way I describe my decks and creativity, of course, as well as my speech and my articulation, and of course also the vocabulary, which I'm sometimes missing and having a loss of words. Then still, I wish you guys a very, very nice evening, and good night. Your Slifer Maniac.